Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the Diaries of a Content Creator. So excited to be here, and today we are talking about goals and what happens after you make one. So recently, about a month ago, I invested in my mentor, my business mentor, again for a full year. And the price was astronomical. It was a lot of money. Most money I've ever spent in my life on anything besides a college education. Paying that amount of money was saying to myself, I believe in you. We're going to do this. We're going to go all in. We've had a lot of success the past year and a half, and we're going to continue that. And I had the goal with my mentor that I would strive for $1 million this year in revenue. $1 million thing isn't so important. It was just like I wanted to have a number target because it's easy to calculate revenue. And I wanted to make it big. I wanted to make it a stretch goal for me, and that is quite a stretch. It's 5xing my income, basically. And by the way, I discussed it with my husband first before saying a full-on yes, which was growth for me because the last time I invested in her route, I did not ask my husband. We're a team, so you should always ask your partner when you spend money like that. Anyway, after declaring this, everything just fell down to pieces. I became a huge imposter to myself. I didn't have faith in myself. I didn't have faith in life. I felt like I just completely blew everything up. I had 10 sales calls and I sold nothing. That is very unlike me. Usually if I have 10 sales calls, I have a pretty high closing rate. I would say it's 50% usually, about 10 sales calls with no sales. And it was just unheard of. And everything, my views were down. All the videos I was posting was like 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I felt like everything was falling apart. And then after those 10 calls, no more calls booked. It was like silence, which is also very weird. You know, usually I have calls always coming in or bookings always coming in. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, why, when I finally take the leap, invest in myself, preach to everyone on my channel that you should invest in mentors, you should do this, you should do this, why is everything crashing down? And it's the chaos that you endure to get to the next level. And it's really interesting. So I was like looking up this phenomenon. I was like, what is this? Because this must be a phenomenon because I've noticed this cycle happening more than once on my journey. When I want to strive for more or change something, there's all this resistance. So I read the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, I think is his name, and realized that we sabotage ourselves. We completely sabotage ourselves. When we finally have the confidence to stand in who we are, we backpedal. We're like, do I really think I could do this? Am I making a mistake? Is this a good idea? And you know, the first time I went in with hiring Harut, I was all in. I was laid off. I had nothing to lose. I had the money that I paid him to lose, but I was just all in. And I was like, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And that was the same mentality I went in with this, except I was comfortable. I had a successful business. So that goal was just for fun. So it was almost like the universe had to take everything away from me so that I would work harder. If you want this goal, you need to work for it. It's not going to come like you had to work for this, what you achieved this past year. And so it was almost like, Gay Hendricks refers to it as the upper limit problem. Like you believe you deserve a certain amount of success. And then if you start to go above that, you pull yourself back down to it. You self-sabotage and you play small, or you get sick, or you have a fight with your partner, or just chaos ensues and you don't get out of the chaos so that you stay small, or you stay at that upper limit of what you think you deserve. And so I read the book, I knew it was happening, and I was just like, this is awful. I do not like this. And can I tell you, I feel like I got my money's worth already from Harut because of this past month. September was the hardest month I have had on this journey. It's when everything stopped. And I had to I was like, okay, I need to start thinking out of the box. I need to start doing different things. I need to start pushing myself. I need to start selling myself more. And then I was like, do I need to sell myself more because I've gotten this far without selling myself? And is it because I'm selling myself now that people aren't interested, whereas they were interested before because I was just giving information and being of service and I wasn't selling myself? You know, like, and it was just all of these like things were going on in my mind. And what I realized was that I wasn't taking as much action, or I was becoming lazy. I was becoming comfortable in my success. And I was just like, I don't really want to work that hard for it. I worked so hard this past year. I don't really want to work that hard. And then I was like, I don't really know if I want this goal, because I don't know if I really want to work that hard for this goal. Maybe I should just be happy with $200,000 a year. That's plenty of money. I've never made that much money in my life. It's an amazing, it's a solid salary, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Why do I always need to strive for more? And so I was like going back and forth in my head about all this stuff. Like, do I really want this goal? Should I have this goal? Why am I going after this goal? Why did I just dump this much money on him? Now I could have spent that on my family. We could have gone on vacation. I could have, bought things like food and clothes and all this stuff, really, or just had a cushion of that money in my bank account so I wouldn't have to worry about things, right? It all came crashing down. And I relied so much on my mentor in that month, and also on my husband. And the funny thing is, with my husband, the Viking, he is like a reflection of my own mind. So when I go to him with a problem, he's like, so what? Keep pushing. It's just so like, he's like, yeah, and I don't see the problem. You just need to work harder. What's the question? So like when I talk to him, that's what I get. So then I go to Harut, my business mentor, and he's he's being paid by me, so he has to actually respond more, more in depth perhaps. So we had calls, we had like back and forth, voice messages over and over again, like, just stay the course, stay the course, stay the course is basically what he was saying, but he was saying it in a lot more words to make me feel better. And he like was showing me like what you have achieved. You have achieved this already. You can achieve this. It's going to take work. It's another level. You're leveling up. It's not going to be comfortable. It's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. It was painful what you went through before, and you got to this location. It's going to be painful to get to the next location, right? And this is why I want to talk about this. When you go after a big goal, know that chaos is going to ensue. Seth Godin calls it the dip. So, you get excited about a goal, you go after it, and then you realize it's going to take hard work, and that's the dip. That's where it's like becomes miserable until you build momentum, and then it starts going back up again, and you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But when you're in that chaos, when you're in that dip, when you're in that zone of like second guessing and having to really face everything head on and stand your ground, it's really important to have people in your corner that don't back down, that tell you like it is. Like, if you want this, you need to keep going. If you want this, you need to learn more. You need to get better skills. You need to learn how to sell better. You need to learn how to show up better. And the thing with those sales calls, the reason why I was struggling so much is because part of this leveling up, I need to charge more for my services. And there's lots of other things I need to do, of course. And so I was charging the most I've ever charged for my program. And it was very difficult for me to stand behind that price. Because in my head, I was like, I would never pay that price, right? But what did I just do? I just paid that price for a mentor. And what has that mentor given me the past month? He has given me so much from that payment. And so I know that the price I'm charging is worth it now because of what I went through with Harut and because of what I went through in the chaos. I know how valuable it is because I also know most people won't survive that chaos. And that's a shame because I almost didn't survive it. And I consider myself a warrior. I really do consider myself a warrior. I do not give up easily. And I go after things that are hard to go after. And I go against the grain, and I'm not afraid to do that. And it was very hard for me. I was so close to giving up on that goal and to feeling like maybe I don't continue with my business mentor. Like, I was so on the edge. And so I want to really encourage you that it is hard to do different things. It is hard to level up, but that hard is good because that is what filters out the people that are average from the people that are achieving bigger things. And so if you want to achieve bigger things, we have to go through this chaos. We have to have the world crash down. We have to burn our old self so that we can become a new self. And we have to also borrow a little bit of energy from our future self that we want to become in order to make it through this part. So you have to hold your vision very strong in your head. The vision of what that impact is going to have, or who you're going to help, or how your company is going to change, or whatever it is, whatever that vision is, you have to hold it so strong in your head and your heart so that you do not fall down in that chaos and stay down and stay small and stay at your upper limit that you currently believe is your upper limit, as Gay Hendricks talks about in his book, The Big Leap. If you haven't read The Big Leap and you're in the chaos and you're going for something bigger and you're in that dip, you're in that zone of struggle, read that book. It's very interesting and it'll bring some clarity to you. And the other reason why I want to talk about this is to normalize this, to normalize the journey is going to be painful, to normalize that you cannot live your purpose and your passion without enduring pain. I'm sorry to say that. Well, no, I'm not sorry to say that because I want to be brutally honest with you. You have to endure pain to achieve the life you want to live. And the pain comes in many forms. It comes in self-doubt. It comes in insecurities. It comes in having to level up, having to learn new skills. It comes in, second guessing. It comes in chaos, as in you might have fights with your partner. You might get sick. You might get in a car accident. You might, there's lots of things that you could do to sabotage your success. And it's really important to be aware of that this is going to happen. And if you expect that chaos and you expect that it's going to be hard, you will feel more comfortable with it because you're like, this is part of the process. It's going to be hard and then it's going to get easier. And I remember when I first started architecture school, and it was so difficult. The hours were insane. What they wanted us to do was insane. All the stuff we had to learn, the learning curve was so steep in the beginning. And we were each assigned like a mentor, the older class, to help us if we needed anything. I remember one mentor said to me that, just know this is the hardest year. It gets easier. So that's what I want you to know about when you make a big goal. That moment of the chaos, that is the hardest part, but it gets easier. And everything good is on the other side of that pain. Unicorns, rainbows, your dream life is all on the other side of that pain. It's all on the other side of taking risks, believing in yourself, even when others don't believe in you around you, like truly knowing you are capable of achieving that goal. And I 100% believe that if you have a goal and you know it's a goal from your heart, it's not a goal, it's not someone else's goal, but it's your goal that you thought of, that you are passionate about, you are given that goal for a reason, and you are able to achieve that goal. It might not be next year, it might be 5 years from now, but that goal is your goal, and it is one you can achieve because it was given to you. You will achieve that goal, but know that you must walk through the fire to get to the other side to achieve that goal. So what I want to leave you with this episode is, don't give up when you're in the flames. It's like that famous quote from Winston Churchill. I think it's something like, if you're going through hell, keep going. Because why stop there? Because then you'll be stuck in that fire. You'll be stuck in that misery. Or you'll be burned and then you'll go back to living your life. But you never truly experienced the success that you could have experienced if you had just kept going. So keep going when you're in that moment of despair, when you're in that moment of this is awful, this is not fun. And I will tell you what happened. I started taking action. I started getting uncomfortable. I was like, I haven't made any sales this month. I'm totally failing on my goal. And I took action. So I launched another program. I launched a program that I've been wanting to do for the whole year. And I launched it last minute. I was like, you know what? A lot of people have been asking me for it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. But I had been so focused on this one goal that I wasn't going to do anything else. And since that one goal that I was now focused on was failing me, I decided I needed to think out of the box. And so I did I launched a group program. And can I tell you, the day I took action and launched that group program and got people into that program was the same day from one of those 10 sales that I thought I didn't get anyone on, someone called me back and booked into my program. And so by doing that action, it's like the universe was like, you made it through the fire. Here is your gift. Here is your sale. Here is people full in your group coaching program. Enjoy. So anyway, I just want to tell you that don't give up. Do not give up. If you are truly passionate about what you want to achieve, and just know that the pain is normal. We all think life is full of comfort and ease and conveniences. It is not. That is the average life. That is the blah life. That is the life people are miserable in. If you want the great life, if you want to live your purpose, if you want to live your dreams, if you want to have financial freedom or, location freedom or whatever it is, time with your family, to be able to pick your hours, you must go through the pain. You must go through the pain to get there, because it's only reserved for the people that are willing to traverse that pain, to walk through that fire and get to the other side. Because I promise you, there are rainbows and unicorns on the other side of that fire. They really, truly are. It is a beautiful life on the other side of that pain. But know that that's only temporary, because when you get there, as humans, we're going to want to evolve. We're going to want to grow. We're going to want to transform again. And so then you have to step back into that pain. But as Seth Godin says, that dip, the first dip is huge. The second dip is a little bit more shallow and more shallow and more shallow, because you get more comfortable with that discomfort. You get more used to knowing and expecting that this is going to take work. This is going to be painful, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an amazing ride. It's going to show me who I am. It's going to show me what I'm capable of. And it's going to expose everything about me that I didn't even know existed. And you will blossom from a caterpillar in a cocoon into a beautiful butterfly. So the point of this episode is to tell you to keep going. Do not give up. Know that pain is part of the journey, but it's also only temporary. And if you stick through it and you keep going, you will bust through your upper limit and create a new upper limit that you will need to bust through again later. But the fact that you are busting through the first one is amazing. And then you'll be able to bust through the second one even easier. Still be pain, still be hard, still have to learn lots of stuff, traverse areas you don't know, but on the other side, you will have success. So hang in there, and I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much. Bye.